Hi, I'm going to be dealing with the issue of how do you get your children to do things they won't respond to. You ask them to put their toys away and they won't. Truthfully, the answer to that is to give them control. I was just recently visiting with a friend whose granddaughter was having to be prodded every day to make a bed, put on her clothes, change, brush her hair, brush her teeth, and do the normal things. And her mother was just getting tired of it. She just wanted her to do things without having to be asked. So we were discussing the options over the kitchen table. And this little one, the option was to let her create a schedule and figure out how to solve this problem herself. So that little one, they hear everything. She went to the corner and got a piece of paper and made this beautiful list of the things that her mother had been bugging her about, with little check boxes next to each of the items. And after we had been talking for about 10-15 minutes, she came over and said, "Hey, Mom, here's my list." And she showed it to us, and I was so impressed. This child was only 4 years old. And she had made this beautiful list with the check boxes and said, "If I do these things without you telling me, can I watch extra?" And I don't remember the name of the little TV program, but it was something that had to do with some water characters. And her mother said, "Well, if you can do this by yourself without me having to tell you by a certain time," I don't remember what that was, you can get some more time. And she did it. She would get up in the morning, do her things, check her little box off, and earn her little time on the TV. It wasn't much. It was maybe one show. And one day she visited overnight at my girlfriend's house. She asked her grandmother, she says, "If I do my checklist at your house, does it still count?" Well, of course, she said yes, because she's teaching her how to be independent. When we put children in control, you end up getting less resistance. If they want control, they're going to fight you in any way they can. And one way they can have control is by not doing what you want them to do. I once had a student about 23 years ago. We'll call him Will. Will would not get his homework done, and every week his teacher and his mother would get together on Fridays and talk about what he was going to do for the next week. Well, they had great ideas. Every one of them was brilliant. I mean, in my book about the 41 challenges kids have with homework and how to solve them, some of the solutions are theirs. But none of them worked for Will. So they finally got frustrated after 3 months, and they called me in and asked me if I would help them. And I sat down with Will, and he was accustomed to them asking him what his challenge was and him saying, "I don't know," and them giving an answer, because parents and teachers tend to not like that silence that allows kids to think for an answer. None of their answers were helpful to him. So when I came in, I said, "Oh, Will, we've got like 25 minutes of your recess time to deal with this, and I'd like to know what you think your challenge is. In order to solve this, you've got to identify your problem." And he said, "I don't know." Well, I said, "Well, we've got 25 minutes, and I'll be really happy to give up my recess and my lunch and after school if you need more time to think." And I said, "Your friends are out playing basketball, so what do you think your challenge is?" And I sat, and I kept looking at my watch, and I sat, and I kept looking at my watch. I said, "Your minutes are flying by here. You're now down to 20 minutes. And we can wait. I'll wait." Finally, he said, "I've got it, Miss O. My problem is that when I get home, everybody's outside playing basketball, and I want to play with them. So I drop my things, I go out, I go out and play, then it gets dark, then I come in, I have dinner, I don't have time to do my homework, and I just don't do it." I said, "Oh, okay. So at least you know the problem. How are you going to solve it?" And of course the answer was, "I don't know." So I said, "Okay, Will, how about you come up with an answer? You're now down to 18 minutes. You could still get 18 minutes of basketball if you come up with an idea." Sat and waited. 3 minutes went by, and all of a sudden he said, "I've got it, Miss O. I'll make a sign that says, 'Do it now.'" I said, "Well, that's not nearly as creative all the things that your mother and your teacher came up with. We'll have to see if it works." And he says, I said, who's going to make the sign? He said, I am. I said, well, we'll have to see if this works. So he went and he made the sign. And the thing here is that he came up with the idea. He didn't care if his mom's ideas and the teacher's ideas worked because it wasn't his idea. He just couldn't afford his idea to fail. So we get to the next Friday, and guess what? All the homework was turned in on time. And I discussed with him what was the difference. And he said, well, instead of going outside and play, I went up, did my homework, and then I went out inside and played. I said, okay, so your sign, do you think it worked? He goes, yep, the sign worked. I said, okay, we'll have to see if it continues to work. You know, sometimes these things work for a little while. We'll have to see. So I'm going to ask you to meet with me next Friday. We met for the next 3 or 4 Fridays for, I can't remember how long, it's been 23 years. And every single time he said the sign worked. And as he matriculated through the grades, because he was in 3rd grade with me, as he got to 8th grade, I would catch him every now and then in the hallway and say, hey, Will, how's it going? He'd go, oh, the sign still works, Miss O. And a few more years pass by, and I get an invitation to his graduation party. So I went. It's always fun to have them invite you. And I said, you know, Will, I'm kind of excited for you, who is off to Berkeley. And he goes, oh, no, by the way, Miss O, I'm taking my sign with me. Now, this young man is in his late 20s, early 30s now. And I venture to think that he probably has the sign up in his office. He's a successful financial advisor. And I bet that that's his reminder to take care of things and learn how to manage himself. And as a result of him coming up with the sign, he couldn't let it fail, so he put in the effort to make it work. So try this with your children and get back to me with some feedback. And I'm also here for more, suggestions. I'll be, posting on a regular basis as the questions come in. So get your kids ready for online learning by doing this.